Let's talk about Daredevil Born Again. Tonight, they dropped not one, but two episodes of Daredevil Born Again, and I think I know why. Episodes 5 and 6. And they were both kind of different. I'm going to get into it here. 5 was called With Interest, and 6 was called Excessive Force. And at first, like I mentioned, these two episodes were different, but after seeing them both back to back, it makes sense to me as to why they aired them both in one night, why they both dropped. You are supposed to see them as like one big movie in a way. It makes sense. So the first episode, With Interest, was interesting because it, no pun intended, it revolved around a bank robbery and it felt very episodic. Now, I talked about this before in that the original plan for Daredevil Born Again, before Kevin Feige went in and started making changes and they sort of made the show what it would become now, is that it would be much more episodic in nature. And episode 2 certainly felt episodic, and episode, not really so much 3 and 4. 5 certainly did, because with episode 5, you didn't really need this story to be told, but when you blend it with episode 6, it sort of puts more weight on what happens in episode 6. So Murdock is there, and the story is, as I mentioned, there's a bank robbery. He's there with Kamala Khan's dad. And of course, this is sort of done to further tie him into the MCU, because we've seen him in No Way Home. We've seen other characters mentioned. We've seen Kingpin in other MCU shows. But Daredevil still doesn't quite feel entirely like it's in the MCU, probably because of how the Netflix shows were done and how distant they were, and Born Again's a continuation of that. So they have to do things like this where they have guest stars from other shows appear to kind of build the universe up a little bit more, so to speak. So the stories about Daredevil, well, he wasn't Daredevil yet, he was Matt Murdock, dealing with these bank robbers, eventually leading to him, becoming Daredevil, although not with the costume, just being a hero and smashing these dudes up. There was like a hostage situation. There were cops involved. It really felt sort of like the movie Heat, like that bank robbery scene. And it's funny because even in the bank robbery scene, one of the robbers is like, you know what this is, folks. You've seen the movies. It's almost like they're saying, like, yeah, it's another bank robbery scene. We saw it in The Dark Knight. We saw it in Justice League, right? Like, the freaking bank robbery scenes are so basic. You know what I mean? They're such basic storytelling and a very simple way of getting heroes involved. In fact, I think one of the oldest bank robbery scenes, and correct me if I'm wrong, because I know they did it in Superman the movie, but I remember being a kid and watching the Superman black and white show all the way back on Nick at Night. And I remember that Superman, one of the more famous episodes is him stopping a bank robbery, and the bank robbers are shooting at him and the bullets are bouncing off. So this has been like a thing that they do. And it's sort of, as I said, built Matt Murdock up for the Kamala Khan situation, and maybe that'll lead to something in the future. Meanwhile, Wilson Fisk was mostly absent from this episode. He didn't really, do much. I mean, there was a team up, but he didn't do much. However, the next episode, Excessive Force, this one felt like a continuation. So if you're asking me, should I skip episode 5 and go right to 6? You actually could do that, because most of the things that happened in 5 have no bearing on what happened in 6, but they sort of do when everything ties together. And the other thing is episode 5 was a lot of fun. Yes, it was episodic. Yes, the story felt very self-contained, but I liked it. Like, I actually really enjoyed the episode. It wasn't boring at all. It was a fun calamity for Matt Murdock to get through without revealing his identity. So that was good. Episode 6, though, this one continued the story. And this one really is picking up where episode 4 left off. The message behind this episode is that now, officially, Daredevil, that is to say, the devil of Hell's Kitchen, is back. Now he's back. And alongside him, he ain't the only one back, because Wilson Fisk has reaffirmed himself as the Kingpin. This episode sort of picked up with the sort of like a situation where Kingpin's dealing with a problem being a mayor, and it's about his schedule and this big event coming up, but Kingpin is getting tired of being the mayor. Like, he's kind of sick of the responsibility all about it, you know? And that will lead to a situation where he starts dealing with the New York mob. And of course, Wilson Fisk is Wilson Fisk. They do a good job here of sort of, in a way, getting us to, it's weird, but they're getting us to care about Wilson Fisk, not just as like a villain, because he's obviously a villain, but we kind of care about him in that I would rather root for the Kingpin than some like mafia guy. You understand what I'm saying? Maybe because we've been with the character for so long, but they really sort of, in a way, kind of babyface him here. They kind of sort of make him into a likable character here, especially with him negotiating with the mob and saying, no, stick it up your ass, or whatever. Now, they also talk about, it also addresses Matt still missing Foggy and the guilt that he has over what happened to Foggy. He's praying, he's reading Foggy's letter, like he's, in Braille. He is, still just completely a wreck over it. And it ends up leading to an interesting conversation where he talks to Heather, and she's writing a book about vigilantes. And he, of course, has to hide it. And she's like, oh, maybe I should talk to the Punisher or the Daredevil. And, then it's like, well, wait a minute, where's this going? That was earlier in the episode. So they both have to deal with their own struggles, and the episode did a good job of showing what's happening here is that Matt Murdock and Wilson Fisk are both wearing masks. Not literally, figuratively. They're both kind of hiding and trying to stay away from who they really are, their true purpose. But by the end of the episode, Wilson Fisk is back to being the Kingpin, and Matt Murdock is back to being the devil from Hell's Kitchen. And that was really the story here. Like, that was the story. They introduce a new villain, the Muse, who is in the subway, and he's like a graffiti guy. And at one point, Matt's not sure what to do, and then he's like, whatever, I'm going to go grab my stuff and handle this. So we end up seeing Daredevil go down into the sewer or subway and starts to completely smash this dude. I mean, he ends up being a good fighter, but I mean, this is very bloody, very violent. This felt like the old school Daredevil, and just smashes this guy, smashes him. And at one point he doesn't finish him off because he has to go save the girl. And basically the girl is like holding him, and she's like, Daredevil, Daredevil. And he, kind of like, yeah, like, no, he's back. He's back. We are now back, folks. Kingpin, Daredevil, and Daredevil Born Again. The character has been resurrected. So good. So, like I said, both episodes are different in that one felt more episodic, even though they addressed it in the next one. They could have taken it out or just changed it, and it would have been fine. But this episode 6 is really where it's at. Episode 5 was fun, but episode 6 is where it's at because now the mask that Wilson and Matt Murdock wear have left them. Now they are back to being their core selves, their true selves, as the devil from Hell's Kitchen and as Kingpin. And both of them use excessive force in two different situations. Really good stuff, man. Really, really good stuff. I would give episode 5 like a B plus, which is a fair rating, I think, because I had a good time with it. I would give episode 6 an A. If you're using school grading systems, which I might actually start doing that for these shows instead of doing like 1 through 10 or 1 through 5, A, B, C, D, E, F, or A, B, C, D, F, no E. Just we're not gonna do N and U either. Just A, B, C, D, F, and this was a B plus, maybe a B instead of a B plus. Let's go with a B, and the second one was an A. So, yes, very, very good. I am really looking forward to episodes 7, 8, and 9 now of this season, because now that they're back, now what? Are they set to clash? Will vigilantism be outlawed? Many questions will be left unanswered now, but maybe in the next few weeks. Those are my thoughts, man. Have a good one. Take care of yourself and each other, and leave comments, of course, giving me your thoughts. Farewell.